welcome to Let's Chat on Sunday. And my cat won't stop getting in the way. So here's Jack. Jack adopted us. Ah, buddy, what's the matter? What's the matter? He's tired. When he gets tired, he gets very, he just gets kind of needy and kind of, wants to be like in my face and wants me to pet him and gets a little grumpy and and everything. So I hope everyone's doing well. Thank you for supporting me and taking a little break and a hiatus and do some things I needed to do and do some inner work and all of those things. It was really helpful. It was a really nice little break, but I'm really happy to be here with you guys. I missed doing the shows and everything, so I'm glad to be back, and we'll kind of ease into Spirit Speaks. I think we'll do an episode the Thursday after Thanksgiving, so we'll start there and just see where we go from there. I was getting very fatigued. I was getting very burned out. I was getting burned out. I've been, I've had the channel for 8 years, and I feel like I've been working the whole time. Ow, go away. He gets grumpy. He gets grumpy. Okay, now go. And so I just felt like I needed to kind of reassess and do some inner work and that kind of thing. And I think that's really important for everybody to be able to do that. But I'm glad to be back here. And I did want to just start by talking about something that I keep seeing. I kind of had this discussion with my wonderful guides about this, and I'll tell you what they said. So I wanted to talk a little bit about language and about thoughts. And there's a lot of books and a lot of, spiritual channels that talk about language and talk about, being kind with your language and, being kind and thoughtful with your words and, and keeping your thoughts really positive and your speech really positive. And I think that there is, that's wonderful. I think that's great. But I wanted to look at it from a different angle a little bit, because I think sometimes, especially when you're trying to grow spiritually, you can be kind of hard on yourself. And so, and I also get a lot of, emails about, like, am I creating stuff to come back on me? Am I going to be a victim of karma, because this happened or because that happened or because I said this or I thought this or whatever. And so when I was little, and growing up, even as a teenager, I remember my mom saying this, but I would say things like, I hate Mr. So-and-so, or I hate, I hate homework, or I hate, whatever. And she would say, usually around school, let's just be fair about that. And she would always say, oh, Kim, don't say hate. Never say hate. And my sisters probably remember this as well, or maybe she just did it to me. I don't know. And I didn't think anything of it, because and I would just think, oh gosh, okay, I won't say hate. So I would say dislike. I really, 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 really dislike this thing. But then when I was a teenager, I remember seeing an interview with Frank Zappa, the musician, and his kids are my age. I think I'm right between. Okay, so his kids' names are Moon Unit and Dweezil. So no hiding what decade they were born in for them. But but I think I'm kind of between them age-wise. And he was talking about, it came up about, raising teenagers and, do you are you a strict dad and that kind of thing. And he said, it got to they were talking about language. And he said, I always let my kids swear. They can say whatever they want. And this was during the Reagan era, by the way. So, and I think it was like Johnny Carson or some late night show that it was weird that he was on. And the host was like, "Oh, whoa, that's crazy. Why would you, the kids shouldn't swear in front of their parents, blah, blah, blah." And he said, "No, actually, that's not true. I want my kids to be able to express themselves in whatever way they need to help me to understand how they feel. And if that includes swearing, then that includes swearing. But I want to understand them. And so language is just language. And if you need to use whatever language you need to use, and he said, he's like, poets do that, musicians do that. You need to be able to use language in the way that best expresses yourself. And I was like, that's the coolest thing ever. Versus a teenager. But that came back to me. As I was pondering this, and I think my guides brought it back to me because I had completely forgotten that. And really what it reminded me was that, language is just language. Thoughts are just thoughts. And really what gives them power is in the intention behind them. So if you lose your temper and you express yourself, or you're angry about something, I should say lose your temper, or if you're angry about something, or you're sad about something, or whatever, however you need to express yourself is the way you need to express yourself. And so I don't want people like tiptoeing over, and really that's what we're here to do. We're here to express ourselves in the most authentic way possible. That's really the goal, is to always be authentic, always be truly who you are. And as you evolve and change, be that, roll that into it as well, because we all evolve and change. But I didn't want people to, I feel part of my reason, I think, for even having my channel and doing this at all, I feel like is to help people not be fearful. I think, there's way too much fear. Fear is a big problem right now. And it's been mostly around death and dying, and people and our friends and family being, dying or passing away or transitioning, whatever you want to say. And the fear around that, I think that's been a big one. But I feel like too, there's this almost fear of karma, fear of, if I say something, it'll come back on me, or what, that kind of thing. And I think, of course, you should always be as positive and uplift, as uplifting as you can. But when you need to express yourself, don't be afraid to do that. Feel like you can. Nobody judges us, right? We judge ourselves. That's what happens. That's what happens now. But we're our greatest judge always, it seems to me. And when we're we go through our life review and all of that, we are the ones who judge. Nobody is judging us. And so I think it's the most important thing, I think, is being conscious of what you're saying and why, and being really aware of that. I think that's probably the most important thing. But and noticing the intention behind it. If it's to be cruel or hurt people, gossip, when there's meanness behind it, and that intention is there of being mean, that's different, right? That intention, that's the intention. But if the intention is just I want to express how I'm feeling, please feel free to do that, and don't worry about that. Okay. All right. So yeah, I always allow my kids to express themselves to me any way they want to, but to be respectful to their mom. Yeah, I think that is completely understandable. You still have to be a parent, right? You still have to be in that position of parent. And welcome, Deb, to our club. Welcome to the club. And if you want to look at the club, you can read about it on my website, Intuitiview. Intuitiview.com. It's linked below. I think you can look at it. A couple more things before we begin, because I want to get to all of your questions. I wanted to tell you, well, first of all, okay, I'm going to be better about this. Be sure to like and subscribe the channel. Be sure to subscribe. And also check your subscription, because Adam and I both have been kicked off of different subscriptions we knew we had before. So just make sure you are still subscribed if you subscribed, because if you're not getting notifications and stuff, you may have been unsubscribed. Sometimes that happens with YouTube, and I don't know why. But so please subscribe, please share, like. I'll be better about that. I'll be better about that. And 2 new channels that you guys might want to check out, because they are members of our club and they're in our community. One is called Intuition, and that is Anne. I believe that's Anne. Anne, if you're here, and or Intuition, if you're here and I got your name wrong, please let me know. And the other is Cindy at Midlife Psychic. So check those out. And subscribing is free. So give them, some love. And it's so scary. I think I've talked about it before. The scariest thing I ever did was post the first video on YouTube. It's so frightening to put yourself out there in such a weird way. We're all weird. Can we just say that? We're all weird, but in such a different way, as a psychic or as a channel or or even teaching about spiritual things. You feel very, very vulnerable and very exposed. And to get a subscriber, to get a nice comment, it's like a warm hug. And so I can't express to you how important that is when people are first starting, especially if you support them in their journey, because it's part of their journey, right? And they're trying to help, right? They're trying to reach out and do what they can to help us right now. All right. Oh, Craig's going to see Chicago, and Clara's going to. You'll love it. I love that show. I love that. I like things that are kind of like bare and sparse, that are minimal, I guess you'd say, as rather than like these big elaborate sets like Wicked, I liked Wicked, or like, Phantom of the Operas, have these kind of bigger. I really like ones that have really nothing, and just like all the music and acting and dancing, and that one is especially good for that. I hope you enjoy it. Question. It seems like empaths are good at forgiving others and not themselves. Yes. Yes. So how do we overcome that? For empaths, and think of it like this, because we've talked about like the narcissist and the empath. We've talked about that before. Narcissists are learning about compassion for others and learning about caring for others and how others feel and that kind of thing. And empaths are learning how to love and care for themselves. And the problem is that when empaths do that, they feel as though it's almost like they're going against what's natural for them, because it's not natural for empaths to nurture and love and care for themselves. And as I was saying earlier, this kind of intertwines with exactly what we were talking about, how, we are our harshest judge. That's true here, but it's true there too. We judge ourselves. Nobody's judging us. We judge ourselves. But here, with the ego involved, we're especially hard on ourselves. All of us. I even think that in their own way, many narcissists can be, they may look, and say, oh, but they can also fall into like victim mentality and that kind of thing. And that's very hard on people internally, even though it's mind-made and very ego-based. It's a hard way to live. But empaths have a different kind of issue. And the hardest thing for empaths is to love themselves, also to put themselves first, and to forgive themselves. What I will say about forgiveness is that the biggest thing is letting it go once you've forgiven yourself. Because our minds play things over, like just like a stuck record, right? It just plays over and over again. And when you get into something like that, when you're in a lower vibration, and you just start playing all the negative stuff you did and all the bad things you did, and why did you do this? Why didn't you do that? And why did you say this? Why didn't you say that? And I think a couple things help, Gina, because I think probably everybody knows exactly. So many empaths in this audience that people know what you're talking about. But I think first of all, realizing that you can only act to your consciousness level. That's completely out of your hands. And so if you did or said something that you would never do or say today, it just shows your growth. And so recognize that as that was an unconscious action, an unconscious me, and I'm more conscious today. I'm more aware today. So that can show your growth arc. So that's something to be very proud of, really. And then when you have forgiven yourself and let it go, train your mind not to go back there. Being present is the best way to do that. If you're just present and you're letting go of your thinking, because it's the thinking. That's what keeps us going back there. And that's the ego. And the ego tries to keep you afraid, separate, and small. Those are the things it's trying to do. And going over something you did wrong and punishing yourself for it mentally and emotionally does all those things. It keeps you afraid, right? Because you're afraid. You usually are afraid of making decisions in the future or doing something wrong in the future. It keeps you separate because you're feeling like I did this and I'm worse than everybody, or I somehow am, I'm separating myself with anger or with not forgiving myself or with beating myself up. And small. We are divine beings having a human experience. So we're never small. We're only magnificent. We're divine beings. But the ego, the brain, works very hard, works overtime. And so the more you can be present, the less you're going to be listening to that. So a practice might be just to say, I forgive myself for this action. I was unconscious or whatever it is. And I'm letting it go. I'm letting it go because it's not good to keep things like that inside. And it's not good to keep things, it hurts you body, mind, and spirit. It really does when you beat yourself up like that. So letting it go and then taking a few deep breaths to become present. And whenever that arises, when it comes back in, I've already forgiven myself for that and I'm letting it go. I'm letting it go. Take a few deep breaths, become present, and just make it a habit. And it may take a little while to let things go, especially when you're used to punishing yourself. There's no need for that. There's no need for that. And when you do forgive yourself, it is an ultimate act of love, but it's also an act that connects you to source. Because we're loved and adored and cherished no matter what we've done. Everybody is, no matter what they've done. And so you get a glimpse of that grace you move more into that divine vibration, that divinity vibration. You're more connected with your soul when you forgive anyone, but particularly yourself, because it is so hard, especially for empaths, right? Especially for empaths. Okay, so I hope that answered that question. And this show, if you're new, I'm just answering spiritual questions. If I can answer them myself, I will. But if I cannot, I will turn it over to my guides. And usually I get a pretty good feel for if they're kind of like, oh, we'll take that one. You don't know anything. You don't know anything about that. Yeah, so. All right, so here we go. I think I have my glasses here, but that's okay. I think I'll be able to see. If a person doesn't honor a soul agreement in one lifetime, does it extend into a future incarnation with those two people giving it another try? Okay, so like this, I'm going to hand it over to my guys because I don't know the answer. Okay, so what about soul agreements? So it makes me feel like there's an understanding among all souls that when we get here, we have free will, and that many agreements will take place just because okay, so they're saying like agreements a lot of times are very connected to our instincts. So it's almost like we recognize it. There's something deeper in us that recognizes this. And that may explain why, you're really drawn to certain people, or you're drawn to certain situations, and whether they turn out to be great or not so great, that feeling of kind of being drawn in tells you there's something else going on here. They're telling you there's something else going on. But they're saying that there's a very clear understanding that when you come to the earth plane, free will is king. You can make decisions that go against an agreement, or you get sidetracked, or whatever, that happens. And what they're explaining to me is that when you're both on the other side, once again, you just reassess and you decide, you kind of look at your lives and things, well, did we ultimately learn this lesson, but in other ways? Or do we need to kind of recalibrate and figure out, and next time, do we need to make it more clear and obvious so that we definitely had this experience together, right? So it's a reassessment is kind of how they're showing. It's not, some readers don't believe in contracts at all. Or they get the feeling like there's no contracts. Some readers have said everything's contractual, like everything, nothing is chance here, everything is. And I'm kind of in between, because I feel like there's a blueprint, there's a rough outline, there's kind of a blueprint, but with the understanding, as they just said, once we're here, free will sort of supersedes everything else. It's a free will planet. And that's what makes it so interesting and fun. For us, it doesn't seem fun right now, but it's when I have one pre-birth memory, and in that memory, I am so excited, and I love the earth. I love the earth plane. It's the best, and it's exciting, and it's fun, and it's interesting, and I couldn't wait to get here, right? So that's why we come, and it's exciting to have it be free will. Like, we don't know what's going to happen, and we have this amnesia that kind of puts a veil over us, and it's just so unique and so different. And so my feeling is that we have this kind of rough outline and when we get back, some stuff, maybe somebody's worked out completely. Some stuff works out, some stuff doesn't. And that's when you kind of reassess with your family. And that's kind of what they're talking about. It's like you reassess, you figure it out again. And sometimes you maybe wanted to learn a lesson together, but you end up learning it in other ways. And so it's like, oh, we kind of did that. We just didn't do it together, and that's fine. And you can let it go. Okay, so that's what I'm getting. And I hope that makes sense. All right. And everyone's saying, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. In fact, that show, Welcome Back, Kotter, in my opinion, as an adult watching it, because I was like 9 or 10 years old and I thought it was hilarious and fantastic, it ain't great. It's not very funny. It's kind of just obnoxious and kind of like, I don't know. It's funny. Because I watch episodes of Happy Days now and I laugh out loud. And Laverne and Shirley too, but that, I'm just like, I don't know what that was. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just ignore what I'm saying. I'm just looking for questions. Okay, I appreciate everybody saying welcome back and everything. Okay, so James Cox 5922. I've had a lot of judgments coming up, especially towards myself, and feeling like, have I made any progress at all? Deeper layers of the onion to work on and clear. Yeah. I know this is like a statement, but I just want to turn it over to my guys just to see what they say about this. So they're saying this is a really, really, really challenging time to be on the earth. In some ways, things are much, better in a lot of ways than we have been in history, but they're like, there've never been more souls here. And because of that, it's very messy energetically. There's a lot going on. They're talking about, this is sort of the last throes of people wanting to dominate and control. And it's not that it won't go on maybe for the next 10 or 15 years or something, but we're in the last kind of period of that. We're moving beyond that. But they're saying that one of the side effects of the way things are unfolding and the way things are happening is that a lot of people are going within, some out of feeling like they should, but others feeling like they don't know what else to do. But that is why a lot of us are here, is to fully assess and understand ourselves, and in that work bring forth more of our soul through this form. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so they're saying too that your soul, your divine self, it's not perfect in the way we think of perfect. It's complete, it's whole, it's fully unabashedly itself. It is what it is, right? It is what it is. In the spirit realm, we live in an environment of love, of understanding, of cooperation, of oneness, right? Oneness. So we're very aware that our self and the other are very connected. So you don't have the desire to hurt anybody because you know it hurts you. It just doesn't, it's not there. It doesn't exist there. But here it's different. And here they're talking too about like the West as this area that is very kind of goal oriented and very much, you know, and also we're in a place of time, space and time. So beginning, middle, end. And it's sort of like we know we have a limited amount of time here. So there's this, I need to reach this goal. I need to get up here. I need to go, you know, I need to, you know, get rid of all my bad stuff and stop doing everything bad. And it's very different. And really, it calls back to the video that I did about shadow work, is that our goal is wholeness. Authentic, being authentic. And when you're truly your authentic self, you are, meaning when you're completely merged with your soul, when you have those moments, you have those times, you have such clarity, you have such a desire to do good, you know, and to help and to help yourself. And when you're completely aligned, you naturally feel kind of that way. It's once again, like that ego mind, that ego self that comes in and tells you, you're not progressing enough, James. You did better last year, and now you're swearing all the time or whatever. but that's what comes in. That's the ego, right? But really, we're meant to align with our spirit self and be as authentic as we can be. The thing, and they just brought that up, that in my mind's ear, they just brought it up, masks. The masks that we wear, that's what derails us. That's what confuses us too about who we really are, and what we really are. Sometimes you had to put masks on as a very little kid to survive your circumstance. Putting a mask on at church because you wanted to fit in and not, you know, and so all these masks that we put on, it confuses us about who and what we really are. We lose ourselves in that process. So coming back to that fullness and that wholeness, and then when we align with spirit, it's naturally, I say positive, I don't think that's right, but it's naturally light. It's naturally, it's naturally kind of a light vibration. And once we fully merge that, so that's really the process that needs to happen. It's not, and being authentically who you are, if you're truly authentic to who you really are, you're that observer in the background, right? You will be naturally drawn to higher vibrational people, higher vibrational situations, and higher vibrational things for yourself, bringing in joy and love and kindness and caring and all these things. And going back to the last question, what they're saying is these times are especially crazy for people because there are so many people here and there is so much energy that goes along with all of the stuff that's happening with, and then all the people. So there's this soup of just energy. And so we're trying to find our true self, who we really are, behind the humanness and the programming and the social mask that we wear, trying to find that in the midst of all of this energetic soup going on. And that's why they're saying it's especially hard right now. But the easiest answer is inside, going in. When you do inner work and you're in a good place, you're in that space of connecting with your divine self, and you're there, that is good for humanity. That's what's best for humanity. That's a great, because now not only are you good for you and your people around you and your community, and you have real solid instincts about what you should be doing and how you should be helping and that kind of thing. But your own light is shining brightly. And that's so needed right now. It's so needed. People need to, if they are completely in the dark, they need to be able to see where the light is and go there, right? So I hope that answer. I mean, I know it was a really long-winded answer to a non-question. You weren't even asking a question. You're saying a statement, but it triggered something, so I wanted to go with it. Again, going with my authentic intuition. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Oh, welcome, Daniel. New member, Daniel. Welcome. If Daniel and our other new member, Deb, if you go to the membership section on the main page of Intuitiview, you can scroll down and you'll find the calendar there. If you can't find it, email me and I'll send you the calendar for November and December, okay? And it's a great time to join because we're doing a giveaway in December. We always do a Christmas giveaway, so it's a fun time to be part of the club. Adam's doing good, Lisa. Adam's doing good. We're both trying to learn how to process our anger and irritation with what's going on right now, but no, he's doing good. I love this. Thank you. James Clark, anger is a normal reaction to a boundary violation. The issue can be, is this my healthy boundary? Very good. Very good. So these are not for personal questions. I do personal mini readings in the club. But I'm going to broaden this out a little bit, if that's okay, and ask, in a couple of weeks, I'll be putting up my 2026 predictions. One thing I know for sure, and I'm kind of sifting through, it's a series of like meditations that I do, is that there are going to be a series of endings around us next year. To birth something new. And so I'm going to ask the question as, is there anything around us as a collective that is trying to come through, is trying to break through? What is trying to break through right now? Through all of this craziness, through all of this madness, what is trying to break through? So the first two things I just said, love and healing. Those are the things that are trying, that's the energy or the vibration that's trying to break through. And I feel like, when they talked about the unearthing, which we've been going through that since about, I think I first got that message back in like 2019, around there, that it was, everything would be coming to the surface. And man, and they said like this year was going to be something, and it really has been. Everything would be coming to the surface. Nobody can really stop it. It's going to just come. It's going to come up. It's going to come to the surface. And at that point, it's to see it, to decide what action needs to happen, and then heal from it. And so love and healing. Okay. So that I'm going to say those are the things that are trying to break through. And so moving into, even if you do meditations or you're just being present, trying to feel those, or anything that brings those things out in you can help the collective now, right? We know that so healing any old wounds, healing any childhood wounds, things like that. And then trying to be in that vibration of love, whether it's in nature or with your family or with your pets, wherever you can feel that type of pure love, right? Because we're not really talking about conditional love, right? It's unconditional love. And that's what's trying to break through. I think that's why, too, they've said why it's so important right now not to judge, even judge yourself, right? Not judge, period, because there's all kinds of stuff coming to the surface. Everybody's at a different place in their consciousness and their learning and their understanding and their life, and that we don't know we don't know anybody's story fully except our own, right? We'd have to walk in their shoes to know exactly what they have been through, and maybe what brought them to this place in their life, or maybe they're doing awful things or negative things or whatever. But to reserve that judgment, and also that, everybody's going through something right now. Everybody is, whether it's personal or people finally cracking kind of under the pressure of what we've been in, with this pressure cooker we've been in since 2016. A lot of people are just exhausted from all of it and ready to just throw in the towel. So being very, very loving and kind and non-judgmental to yourself as well, as we've been talking about. So it must be a theme today, right? Forgiving yourself, being kind to yourself. Oh yeah, no, yeah, Janine. Yeah, she's worried about that we were going to be judged, and no, you don't. You judge yourself, and so you might be, we are who we are as spirits, and so you might, and everybody, from what I understand, as I've talked to my guys over the years about this, that we have personalities. We have personalities as spirits, and some spirits are very meticulous. They like to go through every single thing and think, what were all the possibilities? What would have been the best possibility? And other people are like, I want a quick run through it. I want to get on with see what the big major plot points were, and then I'm going on to either never come back, or I'm going to a different place, or I'm gonna recalibrate and figure out what the next life looks like. But that's what it is. It's not. That's it. Yeah. Okay. Kim, I have a friend who claims to hear her guides talk, claims to be enlightened and ascending yet. She supports Trump, Putin, and rising, and yet believe in the other. Yeah, so it's very interesting from what I understand from my guides, is that no matter kind of where you are, everybody is sort of expanding and kind of they're moving in vibration. You know, that's something that's just, it's because it's happening on the planet, right? And so for people that are sort of stuck in kind of these lower level, they may have, or I'll say lower level, but these heavier things of kind of, you know, and we know that magazine, it's just heavy. It's a lot of, you know, anger and rage and you know, racism and sexism, and not everybody for everything, but that's kind of what it entails, you know, to varying degrees for individuals, right? But people who've been kind of like stuck in that, and right, they're also telling themselves a story about, but I'm a Christian, but I'm a really good Christian, and they're telling themselves a story, right? They've got a narrative and a story in their mind, and there are things that are happening to these people, whether it's realizing, oh, he lied to us, or oh, I'm on SNAP and I'm going to lose my benefits, right? They need to learn compassion for others, and the way they learn it, and we're talking about the more kind of narcissistic personality, it's a little more selfish, they need to learn it by things happening to them. And that's how it's kind of cracking them open. They're seeing all of a sudden, oh, if I lose my benefits, I know, you know, I'm a good person and I'm on SNAP benefits, and now they want to take them away, and that's not good. And now they see things a little bit differently, right? And so it'll be happening in all kinds of ways for people. And some of it may be through communication with, you know, they might have weird spiritual experiences that they can't explain, or that go against kind of what they've always thought. You know, maybe have an NDE or something where they're not judged at all and everything's about love, and go back down there and talk about love, you know. So it's happening in all different kinds of ways because it needs to. It's time to kind of move the vibration. We're moving now. Everybody's moving. And now there may be different varying you know, ways, but it's not like the rapture where it's going to happen all at once, and if you're not on the train, you're not on the train. That's not, at least that is not my understanding at all. But there is a movement happening. and the more you kind of keep pushing against it and keep pushing against it, the more difficult it's going to be. The more difficult it's going to be. But it's confusing. They're just saying, like, it's confusing for these people because they've got these narratives they've told themselves, and the story that they've built, and the story that they've told themselves. And so everybody who says, I hear my guides, is not hearing their guides. And that's just the fact. You know, we have an ego that's very loud. And we know, right, that the spirit realm, as I just talked about, it's about connection, oneness, compassion, love, understanding. And that's how your guides come through. Now, your guides can be very logical, very, very logical, you know, because they don't have the emotional kind of all the stuff that comes along with being human. They can see, it's like they cut through everything and they can see clearly, and they'll be very clear, clarity. But there are clear, and also, you know, too, one reason too that we're having this unearthing is so people can see, and they can choose a direction. And like I said, they can always choose another direction, but it'll be clear. It will be clear. So the majority of people, or I would say majority, many, many, many people will be choosing to live in more of a cooperation, more respect, more kindness, more that kind of thing. It's going to become more and more and more clear as we go deeper and deeper and deeper into the mud. You know, people will say, this feels gross, this feels yucky. I didn't know it would go this place. I didn't want, you know, And so people will be waking up in different ways, in different, at different times, in different ways. And what I would say about your friend is that if her messages are about loving each other, being kind, being respectful, being, being cooperative, about oneness, about, then maybe there is some light breaking through. Like I said, they're going to have weird experiences. So maybe there is some, but if she's deeply entrenched in Trump and saying, they're saying Trump is the Messiah or whatever things they're saying, no. And you can easily tell when your ego has broken through. You can easily tell. Because if there's things that are fear, that's not your guides. Fear is a brain thing. Anything hateful, anything cruel, hateful towards one group, selfishness, egotism, those things they're all ego. All that stuff is ego. And it's really hard. It's even hard for spiritual people that really do live in that, trying to embody those things, being present, and that's the clearest way to hear. Usually is just being present. And usually in your meditations, you become very present. You become very here and now. But even for spiritual people that really live, it can be a trick sometimes, especially when you really, 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 really want something. What you want to ask your guides usually is, what is for my highest good? What decision is for my highest good? Because that's really what you want to be in line with, is, higher order. What is in the highest good for all? What's in my highest good in my experience as Kim, as my Biggs, Mr. Biggs. What is my highest good, right? So listen to what this person is saying, and there may be a little sprinkle here and a little sprinkle there of enlightenment, of something coming through. But if it spouts Republican rhetoric and empty, mega church rhetoric, dumping on the poor, or you can clearly see it. Like I said, if you just keep in those ideas of cooperation, oneness, love, respect, understanding, things like that, then it could be something's breaking through. Like I said, these people are going to have an opportunity to move to higher ground. I'm going to do a little video talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene, because I think what's happening with her is interesting. I don't think it's all genuine, but there's going to be things like that happening where it's like, what happened to them? Or why are they saying that now? Or what, things can shake people awake. A lot of people are doing things they know are wrong, and they have known are wrong, but they're doing it for personal self-interest. And so those people will have many opportunities to shake themselves awake out of that and be more true to who they really are. Some of these people are living in the closet, right? They will have the opportunity to come out and be who they really are, and they'll be so much happier. They'll be so much happier, and they won't be casting judgment on other people and having their shadow constantly, triggered and things like that. So we're going to see a lot over the next, I would say 2026 is going to be really interesting from what I can tell. But yeah, so everybody's cracking open in different ways depending on where they are, right? And so that it can happen, but I would listen very clearly and see what resonates with you. because you'll resonate with things that are of spirit. We'll get chills and things like that. That's us, our spirit recognizing truth. It's breaking through, right? That instinct of like, that may be spirit actually talking to you, because everybody has guides. Everybody has guides. Everyone. So, and they never stop trying. They never stop trying to get through. That's what they do. Their job is to try to get us to go the more joyful, easier path. You've heard me say this a million times. The more joyful, easier path, because life's going to be hard, right? Life is hard. We know it's hard on earth. So their job, what they're trying to do, is to get us to go the more joyful, easier path, at the same time reminding us why we're here, reminding us what we came for, reminding us what we wanted to work on, right? Okay. Okay. I'm worried about you and other friends who live in California because the warning about big hurricanes occurring soon. What are your feelings about these increasingly dire predictions? Yeah, and I'll go over this in the my 2026 predictions. Because it's weird. I saw actually like land pulling away from like little like pieces of land pulling away. So it's going to be a lot of water stuff. Hurricanes, what we've been seeing, basically what we've been seeing. What my guides have said about natural disasters is to not fear, don't fear, but get centered when you're feeling that, get present. And what will happen is you'll feel, this is what I feel I should do. And like I said, guides are very logical, right? So when I've asked about, we're in earthquake country, what should we do? Have a go bag. Have your go bag. They tell you all the time. It's around you all the time. We don't need to look any deeper really than what we've been told a million times, which is, we're in fire country and we're in a earthquake country, right? So we have our 30-day supply of food, our supply of water. We have backup, things for electronics. We have like an old timey kind of radio, and then for fires, we have our go bag, and that's what we do. And I know that my guides and your guides and everybody's guides don't work through fear. That's not how they work. So what will happen is, unless it's something that I agreed to or wanted to go through as a spirit to learn or to grow, that's possible. But to trust that, to trust my soul, to know what it's doing, trust the blueprint, right? But what will happen is that you'll get a feeling of, maybe we'll go out of town over Thanksgiving. Maybe we'll go out of town. Maybe we'll go see so-and-so. I kind of feel like that would be funner. That would be better. You might get a feeling of, maybe you haven't had your supplies and you just feel like you should, just in case. That's how it will come through for you. Your guide's trying to protect you or help you or go the easier, more joyful path, right? That's what they want for you. So they'll bring you information, but it's not going to be in a scary way. It's not going to be through worry or fear. Those are mind-made ego things. Fear is huge. That's why that's like I said, I feel like that's my whole thing here, is just trying to help people not be fearful, because it comes from a different place. It doesn't come from spirit. Spirit will make you move. They'll make you get out of the way. They'll make you miss that plane. They'll make you, they'll do their thing, but it's not going to be in a way that's fearful. That's you. That's your human self trying to feel safe or trying to cling on or trying to, that's what that is. And so if I start thinking about earthquakes, or because there's a million things, and we've already lived through earthquakes, and there's a big one coming, and all these things, and now there's a volcano somewhere that's close. I'm just like, okay, whatever. I just trust. I am a trusting person. I have a sister that's like that too, and she's like, I just assume, oh, everything will work out. Everything will work out fine. And I think that you have to stay in that and trust your own higher self, right? Because you made this blueprint, right? You somewhere inside, exactly what's going to kind of be in your path and help you to grow the most. Trust the plan, trust your plan and trust your guides, because they will move to get you out of the way, or things you don't have to experience, that you want to avoid, that you don't, I don't want to, I keep us safe from the fires, that kind of thing. They'll keep you safe from the fires. But it's us moving into trusting that rather than listening to this, because this is always going to be in that, like I said, the ego is, they want to keep you fearful, separate, and small. So that big idea that you want to try, the ego will come in and say, well, how are you going to get funding? Who do you think you are? Why do you think you can do that? You don't know anything about that. Remember you tried to do that other thing last time, it didn't work out? And that's what the ego does, right? And it's that constant, that divinity trying to continually break through. That's really what this is. What we're constantly kind of like, it's like this constant, it's the yin and yang, right? It's that constant backwards and forwards and up and down, and that's what that is. And we're not going to escape that. That's why I always say that no reader is going to be perfect, because we're never going to escape the mind while we're in the body. The mind's going to be there. We get better at controlling the thoughts, we get better at being present, and we get better at, as we practice, right? That's why it's important to practice, to be in that headspace, in that space as much as possible of your higher self, where you have clarity and you say the right things and you do the right things, you can hear your guides. And so we're always, but that ego is just, it's relentless. It's relentless. I had a real tangle with my ego as I did shadow work, and it's very, very interesting. But it's there for our human self, right? It's keeping us safe from man-eating tigers and things like that. That has a purpose. It's just that we've overused. We overuse it. We're lost in it. We lost in our thoughts, and yeah. All right. So I guess we'll leave it there, everybody. I'm going to have a new Zoom class in January. I didn't expect to, but I got a really strong feeling to do a class on, it's going to be spirit communication through journaling. And so if that appeals to you, so there'll be lots of exercise, lots of ways to connect through writing, through journaling. We'll even talk about dreams and stuff like that. So if that sounds interesting to you, I really wanted to do a class on something that you could just keep going. You learn all this stuff, and then you can just keep doing it and just get better and better and better and more connected and more connected and more connected. If that appeals to you, send me an email. And as soon as my syllabus is done and I know exactly what I'm going to be covering, I'm still writing it right now. But I believe it's going to be 4 classes on Monday nights for an hour. So yeah, so if you're interested in that, please let me know, and I will send you all the information for the class, the time, the date, when it's going to start. I think it'll be probably mid-January, but I thought it'd be a great way to start the new year as well. So that's going to be the new class in January. And then I believe right now we're working on a live event, which I'm really excited about. So, but I'll talk about that more later, because that's not we're just talking about it, but that will be next year as well. So those are the couple of things that I wanted to bring up to you, just to let you know things are in the works. And as you know, I change all the time because I just listen. I just listen. And again, what is for, what is for the community's highest good? What is for the highest good for humanity? What little part can I play? What little part can I do? Is how I always ask about classes and that kind of thing. Okay. Anita, I didn't see your question. Or did I? Oh, thank you, Leslie's Garden. Appreciate you. Thank you. Anita, I don't see your question right away. And oh, you gifted a membership. How nice of you, Diana. Thank you. So sweet of you. Thank you. Yeah, you can ask at the mini read. That's a great idea. Thank you, Leslie. Yeah, you can ask at the mini reading session. No more channeling. No, I channel all the time. I'm not a oh yes, oh, you mean the Spirit Speaks. Yes, that will come back. That will come back, Moon Compass. That's going to come back. You maybe didn't hear me at the beginning. I said that would come back at the week after Thanksgiving. We'll start getting into those again, okay? And I don't know how often they'll be. They might be more here and there. I'll see. I'll kind of see. I'm kind of easing back into everything, okay? But yeah, so yeah, just send me an email if you are interested in the class. And once everything is together, I will send you the information. You can decide if you want to do it, okay? All right, everyone, have a great week. I will see club members on Wednesday, and I will see you all next week. Have a great one. Take care, everybody. Take care of yourself. Be kind and loving to yourself. Okay, and thank you. What's that? Oh, Rob, thank you so much for the super sticker. I appreciate that. All right, everyone, take care.